be saying our new name.
Yeah.
Yes, welcome to the
WerePanda
Podcast.
Featuring
Daniel,
Levi,
Alan.
And Aaron and...
Yeah!
This isn't one-word stories, Aaron.
yeah, just as a heads up.
We
for
changed our name.
Yeah, for anyone who's listened to us, we had to change our name.
I posted our podcast online. The thought hit me. I was like, I wonder.
So the pandemonium, was it just one word though?
Yeah, pandemonium, one word with an A. Pandemonium. They had started 2 months before us, too. Which is funny because we technically started 3 months before that.
I was thinking about panda-monium, you know?
Because isn't pandemonium spelled with an A?
It is.
No.
It is original.
Pandemonium.
I thought it was an A.
Maybe they just misspelled it because they don't know.
Yeah, maybe they did. But the reason that we were doing pandemonium was because we're panda.
No, I know why
there.
we were doing it, but maybe they did that because they didn't realize it was pandemonium.
Maybe we should enlighten them.
Because it's pandemic.
Yeah, it's not pandemic.
It's
Pandemic.
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 Chacabo.
Chacabo. Shout out to Dorothy. Funny shit, man.
I've led the
Wallabies,
most successful space alert missions.
Bull crap. I call
the
bull
most
crap about
successful.
Yeah, but we've barely done any with all the. We haven't even done a mission yet. They've all just been simulations.
What's the difference between a mission?
Who knows? It could be that there's
A
more
mission's
stuff in
for
a
real,
mission.
Daniel. You can die.
So what
Game
we'll have
takes
to do
things
is we'll have to
seriously.
keep track of who has the most wins in Space Alert as captain, and
We
that's
also need to teach Kylie how to play.
That way we
Yeah.
can have 5 and can have an unconfirmed threat.
Yeah.
That'd be
You'll
crazy.
love it. I know you will.
You
We'll
just have to
dress up.
listen.
And we LARP it.
Yeah, Levi totally creates personas. We all create personas.
Are you good at listening to what 5 different people are yelling at one time?
Well, I'm here.
A little different. Are you good at following men's directions?
No.
See, it's just not going to work.
So
Well, she doesn't have to pretend. She could pretend to be a man as well.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. There we go. We could
Oh,
all,
we
And
could
we
all
could all be
pretend
women.
Role reversal!
Because none of our characters yet have been women.
Yeah, I
Well,
don't know why I've averted from
I know.
that all
I
the
think it's
time.
mostly just because we play characters that we feel more comfortable playing.
Mm.
I mean, I'd say that I
The
feel more
majority of my
comfortable.
characters are annoying.
yeah,
So
Yeah.
am I just more
Yeah.
comfortable being
Yeah.
annoying?
you really
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
more comfortable.
I mean,
being
you
a
just
person.
fill those roles so well. It
You
works.
guys love it. Right? Please?
We'll give it to you this time.
Okay, I feel so much better now.
If we're talking like love, like the love of a fine steak, yeah, kind of, but no
Like
more.
love of Kylie, maybe not that
Okay,
far.
well, that would be gross.
If you love Levi like you love me, then he really
No,
would
no,
be
love
the
of Levi's
Love
characters.
these annoying characters.
Now that I say it out loud, I actually see what you're talking about.
Yeah, right?
Not Levi, just his annoying characters. Oh.
I didn't realize it was worse until now.
Yeah.
All right, next order of business. It was last week, it's true, but tweet of the week.
Yes.
You can say it however you
Okay.
want. That's how we kind of remembered it, and then I stopped.
Yeah.
I think that was
So
word for word what you wrote.
yeah, I am actually positive that is word for word what I wrote.
Yeah.
But so I don't know if you guys heard about it, but they came out recently talking about how Hello Kitty is not a cat. And just I was bored at work and randomly tweeted, Hello Kitty isn't a cat? What the fuck? My whole life is a lie. But the craziest part about this isn't the fact that was the tweet of the week. It was how many people this tweet reached.
I think a
Because
lot
it
of
was trending
very
because of the
upset
convention.
people, yeah.
Hello
But-
Kitty convention.
Oh, there's a Hello Kitty convention.
I
What?
just-
Yeah, I'm sure. In Japan.
I
That's
mean,
why
there's
everyone
a-
was talking about it.
I
Or
guess
it
that
was
would
like
make
a-
sense.
No,
It was
Like
probably a My Little.
exhibit.
It was probably
It
a
was
My
a
Little
total
Pony
coming
con.
There is.
There
Isn't that
are
sad?
brony cons.
I know that. And then that was one of the panels because everyone
Everyone
probably would
had
like that if they like.
But it reached over 2,000 people, which is crazy.
2,000. You get that? You get that?
Well, it's funny to me
Well, compared
because
to the Twitterverse, it's not much, but
yeah,
comparatively
Right.
to our other tweets.
Dang it.
but the funniest part about it was that Aaron and Levi were having this competition, and they were both like, "I'm going to be the first one to 1,000 reach.
Yeah.
I'm going to be the first one to 1,000 reach," and they were really into it. And I was just like, I just want to, post everything like that, but I'm not really going to try. And I never expected my post to be the first post that reaches over 1,000 reach.
Did you hear that, people?
And he
I
could
feel
not be more
rubbing.
humble about it.
I feel some rubbing right now on a tender
with
spot.
salt.
Please, while you're at it, why don't you give me a paper cut and pour lemon juice on it?
I just thought it was
What
funny.
about ghost pepper juice? I mean,
My whole life, he says life. Oh my gosh.
Life
You talking about ghost peppers?
Oh,
ghost
nice.
peppers?
Yeah, I had a ghost pepper extract on pistachios. It was so hot.
Yeah.
And I just had the one little pistachio nut, and
And it was just like,
you
You
get
thought you
all
were gonna get
teary eyed
ghosted,
a little bit, and it's just your whole face gets red, and you're just like. And so we, because one of my coworkers brought a ton of them in, so we were giving them out to all the different people and testing people's reactions, and we gave it to one of the trainers there. Her name's Emma, and she. You could tell, it hit her immediately. And so, she just turns away and starts walking away. And you can see her, bringing up her arm, trying to, wipe away the tears. And, we gave it to...
Did you let people know what they were eating before you
half
gave
and
it
half.
to them?
This was a
This
social
is an
experiment.
You have to have a control group.
You had to kind of gauge the person. You're like, is that person going to eat it if they know that it's hot? And if that's the case...
Then yeah.
then you don't tell them. And then we gave it to my boss at the time, and he literally almost broke maybe one tear, but he broke down. You could see his eyes were so watery.
It's
Yeah.
No one can see you right now.
I know. You guys can. You guys can.
For reference, Alan was making the wide-eyed, holding breath kind of,
And
face.
Daniel had to imitate it while he was telling you.
Yeah.
He was doing
Oh
this, guys!
That's
So-
the great thing about podcasts is people can see it in their head.
Yeah, it's called imagination.
Yeah, they don't have to see how
It's like those
I-
old radios when family sat down
Yeah.
by the radio.
You know,
Just
no,
sat
actually,
there. Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
that
I'm so
reminds
glad I
me
wasn't born during that time. I've got to
Well,
say
you're
that.
just twin.
where you just sit in front of a
Where
radio
you
and
sat in front of
listen.
the radio to listen to stuff. I mean, granted, maybe they were pretty creative, but they couldn't
Yeah.
do anything with that
Well, think
creativity.
They
about
describe
that
it.
world
They
technology.
man.
Well, have you ever listened to a book on
I
tape?
don't
Yeah.
read.
They're like-
Have you ever listened to a
No.
book on tape?
Yeah.
It's really fun.
Depends on the reader.
Especially if
Well,
the guy's
of
good at
course.
changing his voice.
Like, if
Well,
you really
no.
listen to a
But
Charles
kinda.
Dickens
They have
book,
to be really good.
That's all
I-
I
no,
used
but
to
if you
do.
read Charles Dickens,
I listened to an audiobook of Lord of the Rings, and it was awesome because he would change his voice for all the different characters. And
Yeah.
that was Jim Dale for Harry Potter. Man, he was good.
There was this one book that this is all I did at work. And so there was this one book, it started out with 10 people getting mass murdered, just one after the other, and it was from the
Dang.
murderer's point of view. But the reader, I was sitting there oh my god, kill me now. I couldn't finish it. I got to the
Because
second
it's-
chapter, I was I'm done.
Yeah.
So it all depends on who's reading.
It's definitely true. I know the books I've been listening to, luckily all have had the same reader, and he does an amazing job. You
Yeah.
can tell who's talking based on whatever voice he does, and he just has the right inflection. He has that kind of nice, calm,
Alan's the
deep
favorite
voice.
reader is, welcome to the book of tomorrow. Chapter 1.
Yeah.
No, that's not it.
I know.
There's also another one that I listened to that was we were talking about it last week, at least Redwall, that whole series and everything. So they did one which I've never seen another production this way, but they actually had voice actors for every
every
different
one.
character.
Which book of Redwall was it?
It was Redwall.
It was Redwall.
Yeah.
They had the cartoon series for Redwall.
Yeah.
Did they use the
I
same
don't. It wasn't
voices?
the same
It wasn't
voices.
the same.
I was gonna
'Cause
say
that's
I
what I
didn't
was
watch it, but then
thinking was-
Cade watched it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, when
I'm
we were
adult
living
watching that.
to.
That was-
Well, it's a good
There's
series.
nothing wrong with
but
adult watching that, but
but
when
when
he
he's
started
just-
watching it,
That's
you're like,
But then
It's
again,
the worst show ever.
here's the worst thing. I'm pretty sure I woke up to one of his outright laughters while watching that show.
What?
It's not that funny.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's a kid's show.
You kidding me? I swear he laughed out loud just to be a jackass.
Probably did.
I don't like the first few times
It's the third
that
or
like
fourth
I mean
podcast that we brought him up.
I'm
how
pretty sure we
many-
bring
how
you
many-
up
all
everyone.
the-
how many times did you guys actually leave your room to tell him to shut up? You know, in the middle of the night.
It wasn't actually as many as usually, like 5. I would wake up to it.
At
But that's
5?
it's
That
like,
seems
I-
like
Well, it was
more
a
than
lot more
enough to
that I
me.
woke up to.
Yeah.
Like, I would wake up and be like, why the hell am I awake right now? Like, I'd look at my clock and I'd be like, it's 2 in the freaking morning. And then I'd hear it. And that's
Yeah,
why.
and I must have gone out 3 or 4 times as well. And my point is once or twice, fine. You know,
You guys had to get out one time for me being so.
yeah,
I remember
it
that.
happens. You know, somebody's excited. It happens. But there's a point, especially when you're doing it every single night. You know, like he was up during those hours every
Well,
night. You know,
How calm were you about it? Were you aggressive about it?
Extremely calm.
Yeah,
I just-
That's
you
the thing.
you
That's
just-
the problem.
Yeah, right.
So
No.
Do you want to
Okay.
know what happened
Dude,
the first time I got
I-
extremely aggressive at
I
him?
have found out, like, I've had these employees, and I'll try to be very considerate and like calm when they do something that pisses me off, and or they come in late or they don't show up, and so I'm like, yeah, I can understand that situation. You might not be able to come up. Just don't
Because
let
you're
it.
doing nice. You need to do
Don't let it
scary
happen
calm.
again.
You need to
I-
do scary
Well,
calm.
I've
Yeah.
become a dick at work now. It's like I don't take crap from no one.
Scary
And
calm is
it's
the best.
more like
you know?
I'm just like iron fist, and that's actually gotten results. That's the sad thing, is like when you try to be nice, you don't get
Okay,
results
but here-
sometimes. It takes
No,
like being
let-
a dick
Let
to
me explain.
people sometimes
Let me
to
explain
get the
2
results.
differences, Aaron.
And that was the best segue we've ever had because I wrote that down. And I did a segue. Yeah, that's why I didn't want you guys to stop me, because I'm like, this segue is happening.
So, hold that thought.
But the
and
sad
then you
thing
ruined it because you told
The
No,
sad-
Daniel was going to interrupt.
the sad
Keep going.
thing is though, like becoming a dick at work, it's also like becoming like a dick
In life.
Yeah.
Well,
I've
here's-
seen myself become like it's carrying over from the job.
here's a couple differences between that. Okay, you know, it does work. You know, but here's the difference. You're in a supervisory position of sorts. You know,
You have power.
That's
Yes.
number one. Number
Use
2,
it.
the people you are using that with maybe react to that differently. But let's say if I were to come up to you and I were to like yell at you to stop doing something, you wouldn't stop doing it. You would probably keep doing it just to be contradictory. Not like
Yeah.
if exactly.
Well, maybe at the time you do it at the time, but just like having that like heated conversation, like eventually it's going to like he doesn't want to have that anymore.
but
Like
that's not how.
that-
That's
Oh,
not
you know
how
what we
it happened.
should've done?
with it. No,
I should have brought out a pillow, just come up, whack him on the side of the head, shut up,
No,
go
I
back
threw
to
something
sleep.
at him one night.
no.
I threw a
so-
pencil and he's like, what? I was like, dude, shut up. And he got so pissed off.
And so,
I
so
said-
no, but that's not the point.
Yeah, he kept doing
You know,
it.
he kept doing it and everything like that. It's just like the one time I tried to get the money from him.
I like
It doesn't matter how you get
I
it.
like yours. I thought you were going somewhere else with the pill. Like,
Smother him. Like,
laugh
now!
It's okay. Go to a better place.
Dude,
I just want you to know, I'm going to sleep on this pillow.
and I loved it because like you wouldn't have believed me if I hadn't wrote it down, but I was able to go.
Being-
None of us dick.
Being dick at
At
work
work.
because it brings results, but then it crosses over into real life. Thank you.
We're getting better.
Segues are hard.
We're just not getting better at pointing out the fact that we're segueing.
Yeah.
Okay, but that'll be it. That'll be it for
next
next
time.
time.
Next time he's not gonna do that.
Seamlessly let it go.
So,
Let it go.
so just like since we're talking about frustrating things, and I want to get these frustrating things out of the way before we get on to lighter topics, I want to talk about this once on the podcast.
No.
Just once.
I get frustrated. What is it? I don't know.
At my farming.
Oh,
Oh, okay. That's
Okay.
fine.
Just for me.
And we
Okay.
haven't brought this up already.
I'm pretty sure we haven't yet.
I'm pretty
I
sure
think we brought it up as what like it was, but it wasn't it was way back when like Alan was doing it and he was getting them, and I was doing okay.
Alan got some, and I haven't got any.
Yeah. But now it's literally to the point where I have done more fates than Levi has altogether, and half of Levi's fates he did before Atma farming even existed, and I'm still one Atma away, and I've been keeping track since like the 7th Atma. It took me 111 fates to get number 8, 76 to get number it was 111 to get number 7, 76 to get number 8, 55 to get number 9, 42 to get number 10, 44 to get number 11, and I've almost done 40 fates on 12, and I still haven't got it. And
I happened to see
it's been gradually getting better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
However,
now it's going back up. How do I know it's not gonna like plateau out up at like
at 300?
100?
Seems maybe it's like a 1% chance because like it's around 100. That you get it.
It's almost like a 2% chance, but it's just so
the
ridiculous.
thing that's annoying though is like I would be okay if I was guaranteed in a certain number of fates. If you don't have it by now, you get it. I'd be fine with that. But if it's always just this percent chance every time.
Or even literally, even if it had been 200 fates in every area.
No, the only downside with that was just that would once everyone hit all 200, then they're done.
Yeah, but here's the difference. If everyone else out
there
there,
was an end.
if everyone else out there is getting them in 20 and I'm getting them in 50,
it's going to be the same effect.
It's going to be the same effect. People are going to be dropping off the Atma farming farm, because they're getting them done. And it doesn't matter whether it's 200 or 20. Once people get their Atma, they're leaving. But the difference is if you put it at 200, I'm not sitting here feeling like crap because I found out that there are people who have done less than 300 fates total in the entire time they've played the game, and they've gotten all 12 Atma already.
But one thing, are you just saying like having an end result number, or 200 is the number?
No, yeah, just having an end result would be nice.
So just by 200, you will have one.
I'm pretty sure that
and he's just saying
is the
200
reason I
is still
stopped
pretty
playing.
extreme, but he'd rather that be extreme.
I'd rather have a number I'm going to, because
other than it
even if it was up to like 500, at least I could be like, oh, well, I'm that much closer to finishing 500 fates. But for all I know, I could be one away from the next 1,000 fates that I have to do to get that Atma.
Like, probability-wise, until it happens, you can think of you both having the Atma and not having the Atma.
Is this supposed to be another segue, Aaron?
No.
It's just one of the most
They're supposed to be
annoying
seamless
things,
now, Alan.
Yeah,
That's why
I
it
do
didn't
agree
seem
with you, though.
seamless to me.
As far as I'm pretty sure that's one of the big factors of why I hardly play that game anymore.
Well, and the thing is I think I'm only getting the one Atma weapon.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I was
And there's
thinking of
other
getting
people
2.
who've had like
They have like
5.
3,
Yeah.
and I think one person I heard was like, "Yeah, this is my last Atma weapon that I need." I'm like, "Screw you."
But they probably play like
Yeah, but that's
man.
that's the thing is the Atma weapon, the Zodiac weapon was supposed to be the casual player's weapon in order to keep up with the weapon level, because I could probably run it like turn 5, but I've never beaten turn 5, so I still don't know what I'm doing there. I can't get that weapon. I might be able to get like a 95 from Leviathan, but there's no level 100 weapon.
There's Leviathan will eventually drop a mirror that you can turn the 95 to 100.
Okay, so I could get up to 100 with the stuff right now, but
You can get 100 from Striking Tree as well.
100 weapon.
Yeah,
What are
Ramu.
these things?
Ramu drops
Extreme
100.
though,
This
right?
is
Ramu
the part of the
Extreme,
podcast
Leviathan
where
Extreme as
Levi
well.
outdoes Daniel.
I'm just.
He
I at least
he's
know
done
some
more
of these
stuff.
things.
I don't. I'm a casual gamer, but it was supposed to be the casual gamer's weapon. That's what they said. That's what they kept saying was casual gamer's weapon. And I'm like, I'm as casual gamer as
they come.
and this weapon is more difficult. I could have probably run Leviathan. The amount of time I spent Atma farming, I probably could have run Leviathan enough to get that level 100 weapon 3 times over.
Probably.
Well, but from this point, like once you get the Atma, it definitely just becomes more of a a grind number game. Yeah.
But that's the problem is now I want to get my BARD up to 50. I'm worried about going in Atma farming for that one. It's just stupid, but I digress. We talked enough about it. I just wanted
that is
to
an
rant.
Annoying point. I agree.
It's just one of those things. Just
what else is it?
Just like annoying, like old professors from high school. Have we talked about
Mr. Menner?
Yeah.
I have stories about him and Shit Hill.
Oh, Shit Hill.
Oh,
God. Oh, my God.
Oh, man. I forgot about him.
That guy.
Oh.
That was so funny. I wish I had been a little bit more calm when I had my back and forth with him that day. That was such a good day.
What? I mean,
he's like, it's because he was an English professor that refused to tell you why he graded your paper the way he graded it. Telling you that you should know why I gave you a lower grade, or that's the point of me being your teacher, for you to find out, without me handing it to you on a silver platter.
It was
However,
English 2010.
if I gave you my paper, my finished product, I think it's fucking good. What do you... Okay, so why did you...
I think it's good. Why don't you tell me why you do not think it's good?
Yeah, and so I argued with him one day for 20 minutes in class about the feeding us on a silver platter and what a teacher actually is supposed to do.
Do you guys ever write your papers and then select it all and then do the spell check to see what grade level you're writing at?
Yeah, but that only measures word count. And
word count, sentence structure.
Usage.
Well, that's part of English and writing, and so
the truth about it is this professor
was crap.
I think how he graded things was you're supposed to participate in class. And
based off participation.
If you participated a lot, you got an A. If you didn't participate as much, you didn't get a good grade. I mean, Alan and I spent hours on our final paper. I got a B. I don't know what happened.
I got an A on my final
What was
paper.
it? What was hard about participating?
It was
it
13 pages worth.
There was 4
drilling
classes.
and
It was EdNet, and there was only so much you could do in the period. There was only everyone
you're
tried
competing
to do
with 200 students.
You're competing to
participate,
to say stuff.
You could just be that tag along after someone said something and just be like,
I agree.
I would like to add on to what they said.
I think that stands very true even today as it did maybe many years ago.
I did that more as a student, but I just didn't care.
Because that way you just have to almost parrot what the other person said and maybe just add something.
But the truth was after the first one we were asking him questions to try to clarify what he wanted out of the thing. He said, just write it how you think you should write it. Just write it how you write it. And we're like, okay, but do you want us to do this? He's like, don't ask me those questions. Just write it how you think it should be written. And so all of us are like, he just gave us a piece of paper and he said,
this is the subject.
Write
about
a summary about it or anything like that. And we're like, do you want us to have 5 paragraphs? Do you want us to... It's like,
do you want us to have a thesis statement?
Just write what you think you should do. So all of us just kind of wrote our papers based on what we thought and turned it in. I got a D on the first paper.
Got a C-.
And so I'm like, why did I get a D? What exactly did you want from it? And he's like, well, I wanted you to talk about this and this and this. And I'm like, why didn't you tell us that when we asked you those questions? And it's like, you were just supposed to know. You're supposed to know what the teacher wants from you when you write a paper. And
you know how I know that? Because I asked them questions.
It's so hilarious.
Oh!
It's so hilarious because I feel like you guys had all these teachers where you've had problems and everything. But then I remember going through school and not once any teacher did I ever have a hard time.
The only 2 I can remember was
get a bad grade.
Was Shit Hill. By the way, his name wasn't Shit Hill. His name was Short Hill. But we called him Shit Hill because he is a piece of shit.
Rolling down the hill.
The very next year.
Very next year. After our class, he was fired for not being good. But the only other one was our math teacher in 9th grade as well.
I had a horrible Spanish teacher.
Oh yeah, our Spanish teacher.
I think everyone had horrible Spanish teachers.
My Spanish teacher was horrible because he would constantly accuse me of doing drugs and being a druggie, and treating me like crap just because I wore black.
And you know
That was the only reason. I was the best student in the class, but he would make jokes about. I had a friend from Colombia in the class, and he would always make jokes whenever my friend would mention something about Colombia. Yeah, just don't get drugs to this guy, you know? He doesn't need any more drugs. And I'm like, I just wanted to bash him in new.
We had an awesome Spanish teacher in 9th grade.
In 9th grade.
Mrs. Thatcher.
Yeah,
I
we
could
could get her off on so many subjects.
Here's the
Be
difference.
like,
She
why
was-
is that hanging
she
from your
was
wall? It should go-
awesome. She was awesome, but she was a terrible teacher.
Yeah, she
Well,
was.
but this is
We
9th
didn't
grade.
learn
man.
anything in 9th grade Spanish.
My favorite day was when they're like,
Yeah.
Levi Stoller.
Hey,
hey, what's
what's
that?
that?
Yeah.
For
And then
like-
she's like, oh, but we're getting off track. I was like, so wait, what is that?
For like a
around it,
week, we had her like talk about the Mayan calendar she had in her.
That's
it! That's the one we always use! Yeah!
See, and my class would always come in and she's like, "Oh, I already talked about that today." So I had to point at like the Spanish art, that she had around the wall because she just loved the culture. And I'm like, "So who drew that painting?"
that painting.
The one with all the people dying.
Yeah.
That
That
one. Yeah, it was just she
Picasso with the bowl
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
the
that's
shapes.
right.
Yeah.
she
Wow,
could
how do
get
we
so
remember
off
this?
track.
9th grade?
'Cause this
What
was
that?
That was funny.
9 years ago?
Yeah, that was when I wrote my
9th grade
my
was our
script for my Sonic game.
our
Yeah.
geometry professor.
I
Mr.
It's
Manor,
Mr.
yeah.
Manor.
I
Which
feel
is funny.
like it was so wasted
I'll
by
get back
public
to Mr.
education because I even had an AP class where the teacher all we did was watch Britain's Got Talent on the
Really?
monitor the
What
whole
the-
AP
What
class.
AP class?
It was
If he says
AP
US
biology with
Oh,
Rushford.
with
Yeah,
But
he was
didn't
a
you still pass that one?
No, I got like
history.
Wow.
What pissed me off was AP US history. Now Alan does too.
Yeah.
Because I
Oh,
didn't.
God.
I love that.
I got a D and an F towards the end of the semester, and he bumped my grade up to a D minus, so I didn't fail it. But I passed the AP test, and the reason that I hated that class is because they'd have a quiz every day, and there was a few days that I would bust my ass that night, figure everything out. I'd answer the question, and I'd be like, yes, I get 40%. And when I'd go in there, and not even having studied, I'll at least be guaranteed a 40%, and then sometimes better. So I was like, you know what? Fuck it.
I slept
Is that
that
Mr.
entire
Wall?
class.
Yeah.
Was that Mr. Wall?
Mr. Wall, yeah.
Oh yeah.
I thought you said
Did
Sir
I have
Walls.
the same
Mr. Wall.
teachers?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I
I
just
still
slept
think
during
that the way
entire
AP
class.
I slept too. All I did was the note cards.
He was
and
very-
it got me like a C
I
every quarter.
couldn't-
Just did
well-
all the note cards.
I even didn't want to sleep, but I could never
I couldn't
stay
help
awake.
it, yeah.
I
Yeah,
just
he was
was sitting
so
there,
He was
and then
very-
I just put my head down.
He was very monotone.
Yeah,
Very.
and you were just sitting there trying to pay attention, trying to keep your eyes open, and by the end of class, you're like, whoa, is that the end of class?
I actually didn't mind it except for like to the end of the year when we really wanted to like study before the AP test. He was like having back surgery, so he was out. He was like out the whole time, and we just had substitutes, and we just didn't know what to
Well,
do.
I still think that the way AP exams should work is you take the class and you do the class, but if you get a 3 or higher on the AP exam,
you get
they go
A's.
back and give you
They
A's
do that in
because-
Arizona.
Because that's how you're taking the class so you can pass the AP exam. If you pass the AP exam, you've obviously
learned something.
passed the class.
And then if
therefore
you don't
should
pass the AP exam, you get whatever that
Whatever
grade is
grade
that
you
you've been
have,
doing throughout.
you
Yeah,
know.
I totally agree with that.
Mhm.
Maybe because I basically floated.
That makes
that.
too much sense.
That makes-
Yeah.
Anyways,
the principal's like,
I
oh, I
need-
know we don't want to
I
make
need
it
to
fair.
get back to Mr. Menor, not because I want to talk about how terrible of a teacher he was, but because I want to talk about
Oh, come
Levi's
on.
experience with Menor after the fact in the future, just because it was funny. So tell us the story about Victoria.
So, when I was in 9th grade, I had this math teacher that we all hated.
He called me Dan. I hated it.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, Dan.
So,
That's my father's name.
I worked for Discover for a year and a half and about 2 months after my training, I started training other people, and there was this group that came in that had this really gorgeous girl. It was awesome, and she liked me, and I knew it, and that was pretty awesome too. Anyways, fast forward 8 months, I kind of lost. I couldn't figure out where she had gone until I found her in retention, of all places, that poor girl. And we kind of started chatting, and we started chatting during work on some little chat thing that the work had, and then we quickly had to stop doing that. But it was pretty cool because I went on a date with her, and while I was going on a date with her, it was that time where I looked her up on Facebook to be like, you know, I never Facebook.
Let's stalk her.
Let's stalk her a little bit.
Always.
This is why I don't get on Facebook. But so I was showing Daniel. I was like, yeah, look, see, this is what she looks like. This is who I'm going to be going on a date with. And he was like, that last name's kind of weird. And I looked at it. I was like, Menor. Oh, please, no.
And we convinced ourselves that wasn't
that
so
it couldn't have
correctly.
been. I was like, no, his
We
name was
convinced ourselves.
M.E. It wasn't M-A-E-N-N-E-R. And so then I go on this date with her, and as we're driving, she was mentioning something. She's like, oh, yeah, that's just kind of like my dad. He's a math teacher. I was like, and the date just went downhill from there.
It's like, there's still a chance. There's still a chance. Maybe it's not that one.
It was too bad.
But
Because
it
she
was.
kept going. And I was like, oh, yeah, I remember that. I had... or she was trying to pull it out of me, and I didn't want to talk about it. That was the thing. I was just like... And I changed the subject, and she's like, well, you went to West Hills, right? I was like, yeah. I don't want to talk about it! We're almost there! And I was like, yeah, I had him. He was all right.
Just like, everything I remember about your father is just black and white.
And grainy with like creepy circus music in the background.
Oh, man. The worst was when, like, we were in high school. We stopped off at Wendy's just for me to use the bathroom, and on my way out, Mr. Menor is there grading papers. I was like, oh no. And he's like, hey, Levi. I was like, what the? Hey, how's Dan?
How's Dan doing? You're like, oh my gosh, how does he remember who we are?
I go back out to the car. I was like, Daniel, we gotta get out of here.
I freaked out. I'm like, because
We really didn't like him.
He was the worst. You know, first test comes around, and we were good at math, like good. But we didn't show our work because we didn't feel
Because
the need
math.
to.
Because math.
It was,
You wanted me to show 3 plus 3.
Did you write math?
We
The
just-
problem,
math.
math,
We
the
just-
answer.
we didn't know that was going to be an issue. So I do the test, and I got like, let's say 96% of the answers correct. But I got 67% on the test because I didn't show my work.
Please tell me you memorized that number all these years.
I did memorize that.
Good God, are you serious?
Yeah, D, 67%. I remember.
His first D. Yeah.
He's got a tattoo.
I got the D from Mr. Menor.
I got 67% of the
I
D.
got my first D at 67.
Anyways, I hated it. I was so mad. And I went up to him, and I'm like, why did I get 67%? This is correct. This is correct. And he's like, you didn't show your work. And I'm like, why does it matter? And he's like, well, if you got it wrong, you could look back and see where you messed up and everything. I'm like, if I got it wrong and I turned it in, I wouldn't be able to change anything
That's not the
anyway.
reason, though. It's so you don't cheat. They know
So,
you're not cheating.
what's
you're not
cheating
cheating.
about math?
But the
Well,
thing
you
is,
could
is
look
that-
someone answer off
But you
someone's
could
answer
also
and just
look
write
at
it.
someone else's work and
But
copy
that's-
all that crap
But that's
too.
the thing. Like,
Ah, that was our
is
No,
math.
but I
10.
understand.
is he
I
going to
understood
is he
it.
going to doubt that he can't catch you like writing a whole
But
like
here's the
paragraph
thing.
of
Here's the thing.
problems?
Yeah.
I proved to him that I could do all of the
Oh,
math.
I'm sure,
You know?
I'm sure,
Because afterward, I'm like, I could prove it to you without showing work, and I'm like, put any problem on that board and I'll solve it. And he put one up, and I was like, wow, you're actually pretty good, but you got to show your work on the test. And at that point in my mind, I was like, fuck you.
Isn't
I
it
was
funny
done.
how childish we actually are thinking back? Like, honestly, I stopped showing my work because I didn't like the fact that he didn't want me to show work. Like, I just hated him. I was like, I don't
Well,
care. Anything I turn in except the test.
I can understand that though
Show
because like if you make an exception for one person, you have to make an exception for all the people.
Well,
so
I
if
just-
you're asking for
I
one person to
got
do it.
the answer right.
The best thing
Yeah.
was that he had that class, that same subject class, the period before us. So if we ran fast enough, we'd get what the homework was, because he'd write it at the end every day. We'd do it all class before he'd even teach that subject, and then we'd play with dice in the back.
Yeah, I remember that. We had this weird game.
It was a
like,
cool
where
game.
We had like a whole bunch of dice, and we would like roll and do like, I can't even remember.
Yahtzee!
In the back of class. I'm pretty sure we got loud at one point. He was like, guys, we're like, oh, we've got the assignment if you want it.
It's just like in high school, in my chemistry class, all we did was play cards. We did not
That was
pay
my
attention.
math 1050 or 1060 class with Derek.
You weren't.
It was me, you, and Josh.
Oh wait, no. It was I took driver's ed over the summer because of how late my birthday was, and I refused to go into junior year, still not having my license.
Right.
And Derek and I we just played card games.
My whole senior year, card games, Magic. There was a World of Warcraft card game we got into.
Oh yeah, I remember
No.
that one.
Cards were face cards. I didn't
Yeah,
get into
we played the game of Mao.
Mao is the one.
Where you can't
Can't
talk,
talk,
and
and
every
there-
person who
That's
wins
right.
makes a new
But
rule.
the new rules. That was actually a cool
That
game.
was a fun game.
I liked Egyptian Rat
That
Screw. I
sounds
didn't
like a
remember
good
that.
drinking game.
It is a good
Now.
drinking game. So originally, the way you play it is the person. It's like you playing Uno, and if you
but-
have different rules.
You can't
You
say
can't-
the rules. It's
Yeah.
part of the game.
You
Even
have
if
to
you're
learn
not
the
playing, you
rules.
have to learn the
Yeah.
rules
Yeah.
in the game.
And but if you
If you
messed up on
continue,
a
I am
rule,
going to beep you out the entire rest of this.
you draw 2 cards. But if you changed it up so that when you broke a rule, you took a drink instead, yes, that would probably be a very good drinking game.
You
Or
draw a card
one card
and
and
a
a
drink.
drink.
Card and a drink.
Mhm.
Speaking of which, I'm just
Drinking. Woo! I know.
All
I
of our
enjoy
root
my
beer
root
glasses.
beer.
I'm enjoying my root beer. I enjoyed a Reds the other day. It loosens you up after a bad day of work, dealing with that stupid parking booth. I am so done with that parking booth.
Yeah,
Is
or
that
Did the
almost
thing
sounds like a
fall off
commercial.
again?
Oh,
The
dude.
thing didn't fall
Like,
off
listen to
again,
it.
but I'm to the point where if it burned down, I would not be sad. It is just the most complicated, annoying
Then
piece
you'd have
of
to put up a
machinery.
sign.
No,
and-
honey. Like forever ago, you were at the point where if it burnt down, you wouldn't be sad. At this point, if you accidentally, in quotes, poured gasoline on it and then accidentally threw a
A
lit
light.
cigarette at it, then you would
Does
do a
that
happy
work?
dance in its ashes.
I would literally dump up one cigarette just to throw on the gasoline to get rid of that parking booth.
I don't
so you
know.
walk away and you
But
turn
when I
around.
do,
when I do.
Yeah.
I blow up parking booths.
It's the one time I would condone me smoking, and I hate smoking. Just for the record, that parking booth is my job, so I actually would not do anything to
and
personally.
if anything has happened to it
since this podcast,
you're
that
not
was
suspects.
not me.
Light bulbs are hot.
Very. So if you could be omnipotent for a day, what would you do during that day?
It's omnipotent in what way?
Okay, but omnipotent,
Like omnipotent.
Like God? Or
Like
a
godlike
certain God?
omnipotent or just
omnipotent
everywhere?
means you're everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So
All knowledgeable?
No.
omniscient.
Omniscient is omnipotent. Isn't
That
that
means
all powerful?
powerful.
So if you were all powerful, not everywhere at once, because that's omnipresent.
For one day, right?
For one day, I would.
I would make that day never end.
There we go. That's pretty good.
I would enact whatever revenge fantasies I have.
Okay.
I would-
explain one.
Yeah, you get one.
John.
Right now, that's the only person that I would be. So.
But how would you exact it? Have you thought
Oh.
about it?
If you were all
Well,
powerful.
I've thought about how I would do it right now. Like I
But
have
you're not all powerful.
If you were all powerful.
No. a way to do it right now that wouldn't
know.
be all
I
powerful.
know.
But if I was all
Oh, I see.
powerful,
I'm asking you what you would do if you were.
I would light him on fire.
Wow, that's
Damn.
anticlimactic.
Irony.
Like,
Irony.
Oh my gosh.
but it would be like
Let it simmer.
spontaneous human combustion, right? That's how I would do it. If I wanted to set something
Nope.
on fire, I wouldn't let them know. They would just
Well,
suddenly
yeah,
Call him
catch
up.
fire.
Yeah.
John, you're gonna burn today.
I would just be like, "Hey, John, you're fired." Irony. Irony.
I wouldn't call him on the phone. I would
go
come
into the office and go, "Hey, John, can I talk to you a second?"
Yeah, exactly.
You're no, but then they would know it was me.
No,
Doesn't matter. You're
No,
all
What if you're all
No,
purple?
but
You
for
just
that-
make it look
you
like
get him
there.
from outside and you call him, and then you're just like, you tell him, look to your left, and then he looks to your left, and then you just say, "Hey, John, you're fired."
It's funny that we have to snap because we all want to be
Colonel
That's
Mustard.
how that's how I do it.
I'm telling you, we all want to be him.
Just a little bit.
It's because there's those moments where
because-
when he lost it, I was so happy. When he was just like, boom, hey, get back here. I was like, yes.
Here's the
burn
real truth
him.
of the matter. He has the coolest alchemy that doesn't involve Ed and Al's, circle hand transmutation, because all he needs to do is snap and it's done. His is just the coolest.
Well, it's because of what he has burned
Yeah.
onto him already, or the gloves
No,
that he
the
was
gloves
wearing
have
actually
the
has the
transmutation
transmutation
circle.
circle.
that does the air, and then the Kevlar gloves create the spark that ignites the
Yeah.
air, and he can control.
And then the
airflow.
reason Al and them did is because they were completing the circle.
Yeah. And as long as they knew what they needed to do, they could do it.
But yeah, it's true. Colonel Mustang
He's
is
just
pretty
got the
awesome.
coolest one.
Did you not? You didn't see Brotherhood, but like that point where you haven't.
I did.
Or you did.
I
That
It
point
was
where.
like the only anime I've ever finished.
Which one is
Sad.
it's not greed, or is it greed? Is greed the slug?
Yes.
Envy.
Yeah.
Envy. When he burned Envy, and he was like after Envy, and then like Envy turned into that girl and thought that he tricked him.
Yeah.
He was like, boom! I was like, yes! Burn!
He's like, he's not falling for your shit. Boom!
And I think Aaron was there too, and I was like, Aaron, watch this. And I'm like, am I a bad person if I'm sitting here going, burn? Yeah.
They're not humans. They had no rights.
They're
So,
Like
just-
Pokemon.
If
Oh,
I
shit.
were all powerful for a day, that day I would create the path for my life for the rest of my life, which I might not want to follow later on, but
It would be there.
It'd be
it
an
would
option.
still be there. Too late. So the very next day, and I'll wipe my memory too. So that the very next day, I'm just like, well, oh, and it's like paycheck.
That's always what I wondered, if you went back in time, but you didn't keep any of your memories,
Would you do? the
would
same
you
thing?
literally do the same thing again?
Kind of like
That would just
Eternal
be if there's a
Sunshine of the
fate
Spotless
or
Mind.
Yeah,
there's
that's such a
fate,
great
then
movie. I love
if
that.
there's
movie.
like a
was so
fate or
depressing.
destiny.
It was very
Well,
depressing.
and I guess too, if you erase all your memories and you're at the state you were when
You made the decision
when
originally.
you made the decisions originally, I think you would make the same ones because assuming
at that
everything
state.
else has to go the same way, and then you are the same way, nothing's changed about you. You just end up doing the same thing.
Yeah, but what if there were those decisions that were just like teetering one or another, and just somewhere along the line, your brain just decides to go the other way instead?
That would be so nice, because then I wouldn't have this car that I'm driving.
Well, okay, yeah. So I mean, you're
And I'd be
erasing your
happy.
memories, right?
Yeah.
But even if you erase your memories, part of that's still gonna remain, and like subconsciously, you're still gonna have some form of like knowledge, and so there will be those
The
decisions that you'll be like that you would have made in your past that you would have been really stupid decisions, and when you get to that place again, you'll be just like, you know what? No, this is a stupid decision. And you'll probably change it, and that'll
Maybe.
change the rest of your life.
Because experience, because the synapses are already like connected, and then
Mhm.
to break the memory, you just break the connections. But then that thing happens again, and then you're like,
And then the connections.
I think I can
Yeah.
see this kind of future
This
from
goes back
this
to what we were
decision.
talking about the other day.
Yeah, definitely. Well, yeah, we're that was.
No.
Wait, what were you talking about? No,
Okay,
you gotta
yeah,
bring it
okay.
up.
You can't do
It's been brought
something
up.
like that.
So we were talking about what was closer to being a reality, anti-gravity, and I'm specifically talking anti-gravity,
Wait,
or anti-gravity boards, or
Like Back to the Future.
transporters. Like
Or human
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 transport, like
transportation, where you go
from,
from one point
like,
to another in a
like
transport.
Star Trek.
Okay, and so we're
Okay.
talking like specifically
That's
things that alter the gravitational field around it in order to levitate.
Levitating.
Okay.
And so the way we were talking, they have transporters that take an atom from one area and recreate the atom somewhere else. And
My argument was that it's not the same atom. It's just an atom that is
It's
a replica of the original.
and the original's gone.
what
Yes.
I said was
So
that
it's like
Star
the
Trek
Prestige.
teleporters did the same thing, where they deconstructed your atoms and then they reconstructed them somewhere else. And
I mean, they downloaded the pattern into a computer
Exactly.
and then redid.
and so sometimes people's patterns got lost. But what we were talking about was the consciousness, what that was. And I said that it was electrical impulses that got downloaded into the computer. And so it was in the computer. And then when the new body was recreated, you downloaded the thing
Electrical
back in.
patterns into the new person.
What the argument was is this new person really the same person, or are they different because technically none of the atoms are the same, but even though their memories and
The
stuff are
argument
same.
got down to if we could switch bodies.
That would, yeah,
Because
that
your
would.
connections would be different
Well,
than my
yeah,
connections.
you could live forever then at that point. I would assume.
Professor
Yeah,
X!
because you just put in
Well,
an older
if you just
pattern.
put-
Yeah,
your
if you had an
pattern.
older pattern, but the problem
Yeah.
was you couldn't save those
Patterns degrade pretty fast
Yeah,
because they're
that-
really high maintenance things, so you need a
That-
huge...
And-
No,
and-
the question that you come across here, though, isn't are they the same person? It's what makes a person then. Because once you
Well-
determine what makes a person, that determines whether that's the same person or not.
But then it degraded into a conversation about whether or not you could switch brains because
If you could,
certain
like,
pathways.
if you could switch bodies
Mhm.
with actual his personalities in my body and my personalities in
Mhm.
his, because of the pathways, the neural pathways that are present in my brain are reconstructed with my form, but the electrical pattern is different. So would it be
I think it would be
Daniel
different.
in Kylie's body, or would it be Kylie with Daniel tendencies?
Okay.
It-
And here's my answer to that.
Okay.
The superior Spider-Man.
You
It'd
can't.
be
Oh,
a no. Watch
Really?
this. Watch this. Okay.
You
so
start this by, hey, this is a crappy comic.
it is
And
crappy
now-
comic, but I love the premise. I don't know why, but I love the premise. So any of you who don't know what the superior Spider-Man is, the spectacular Spider-Man, Peter Parker, his mind got traded with Otto Octavius's.
Did you say spectacular Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there such a thing?
Yes,
Yeah.
there is.
Are you
It's
kidding
one-
me?
There's the
No.
spectacular, there's ultimate, there's
Amazing.
amazing, there's 2099, there's 1708. There's so many
Superior.
Spider-Mans. The superior Spider-Man. So
Gosh.
Peter Parker and Otto Octavius's minds got switched. So Otto Octavius was in Peter Parker's body, and Peter Parker was in Otto Octavius's, and Otto Octavius dies. So Peter Parker's mind dies with him, and so Otto Octavius is now inside Spider-Man's mind, and he has all his memories and everything. But then on top of that, he also has the memories and kind of thought patterns of Peter Parker in there as well. And so instead of becoming evil and becoming a Spider-Man for evil, he decides that he can do the job of Spider-Man, but better. And so he becomes Spider-Man. And so you would
Isn't
have...
it better because he doesn't have Otto Octavius to fight anymore.
Yeah, that's one thing. Well, it looks like in one of the comics, too, he creates these extra 4 legs, spider legs, like Otto Octavius's
Yeah.
kind of things, and he uses those as if he were
Actually,
Spider.
actually a spider, and it's crazy stuff.
crazy. Crazy.
See, but
Am I taking
So
crazy pills right now?
we have someone who, I mean, you can't really. The mind of the person is still in there, but you would imprint the other mind as well, and so it would be kind of a
But
combination of
that's
the
the
two.
question, though, is that's only theoretical. You
Yeah.
know? So
It's a
there's.
comic book.
So
I know,
So is
but-
there?
And
And
we're
that-
not
that's
there-
what
talking
makes
about
sense.
theory.
So
we're
like,
talking
let's,
about.
let's use like a USB drive to a computer, you
Yes.
know, and everything like that. You know, if you're both like a mind is just like a really well built.
The only difference between the mind and a computer, though, is that the mind is restructuring constantly, whereas a
Well,
computer,
exactly.
once it's been
And
structured,
so,
it's
and
done.
so my question is if you put in a like we have to manually restructure computers ourselves, but that's
Mhm.
because computers aren't sentient. But if Kylie and I were like switch brains, wouldn't the brain and the structure restructure itself to fit the
Electrical impulses that we're
impulses
sending into it.
I have rather than
But like, how
mix
well
them
do you think
together.
it could do that, and how fast?
I don't
do you
think.
it
Well, I
could
don't
do
like
that?
maybe it doesn't actually completely restructure, but maybe it just
Well, then
you
that
know,
also goes down to
uses
just.
what is there to make the connections that I have.
Well, here's the question. Then it just depends on how the device is constructed. Because if the device just
See,
'cause
I think like
there's-
that would be like trying to like a language written in like C# and trying to run it in Java. You
Yeah.
know, like how do you debug that?
you have
know?
to
They're two
there has to be
different-
something that kind of
But-
translates
But
the
would
two.
it
that
translate-
really be what it is, though? 'Cause
Yeah.
it's not like a computer to a Mac. We're both human beings.
Yeah, but your patterns are different.
Yeah.
So like how?
I mean, for one, just being. I mean,
because like her brain's just like it reads its electrical impulses as like a certain syntax. Like it's structured to read that,
Well,
and then
but what if
yours
we
might be
what
different.
if we look at them like two different hard drives,
Mhm.
and her hard drive has certain things closer together, you know, because they were scanned onto those things, but other things further apart. But when we switch it over, I had certain things that were farther apart that maybe are now closer together because I had to put it on the space that was on hers and
See,
how it was structured on hers.
what makes it hard is if you're going to be.
But do
like-
you think your brain would just like?
Well, so here's how it goes.
Like transform?
Here's what you have to. Here's how.
I'm not saying you transform. What
Well-
I'm saying is like if there was two neurons here like this that connected to of Kylie's, but when I transferred over, I had two neurons like this in my brain, but now they're over here. Maybe it would just
Would we
connect
form
to
a new
this one, this
pathway?
one, this one, and this one, so they're still connected. Maybe just not right next to each other. And
Yeah.
so there are already connections in her brain. What if those connections?
But do you think that would cause any like bugs or like?
it might
errors?
cause bugs?
Yeah, it
but
would.
I don't think
Oh,
Because you have
definitely
certain ways that
Yeah.
your brain works. Like to move your arm, you follow a specific path.
Yeah.
But some people's brains might want to follow a slightly different
Yeah.
path.
And so
Because-
what I'm saying is I definitely think there would be bugs. I'm not saying it would be perfect, but I don't think the thing where the other person's personality is stuck in there as well would be an
With
issue.
the arm thing, I totally just thought of somebody like trying to gently move their hand up, and they
Bam!
smack themselves in the face.
Well,
Okay,
what if,
so
what
Damn
if,
it!
what if the electrical impulses was just like what run the body, and so your
Yeah, I mean,
like your pattern would still access her. Like, what if software, like our consciousness is the software and everything else is hardware, and so
the hardware would probably.
the hardware
adapt.
would remain, like her memories and everything like that. And so when
Well-
you try to access a memory you wanted to access, like of your childhood, you would just get like a memory of her childhood.
But
Unless you're able to-
that wouldn't be hardware though. That would be software stuff, wouldn't it?
Our memories,
It would
our
be
Isn't,
memories,
is,
software.
but isn't that something physical in the brain?
No, it's all. It's.
It would all be electrical impulses.
But then what's all the gray matter?
The gray matter would be the circuits. The gray matter would be the hard drive.
see, that's what's weird
You
though,
know,
because you're
you
talking
can
about
clear a hard
swapping
drive.
brains, but what are
well,
you really talking
swapping
about?
electrical impulses.
There.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're
Because,
talking
yeah,
about
you're-
swapping electrical impulses,
Yeah, I know,
not the
so-
actual brain, like physical brain.
I know.
Okay.
Well, so I mean,
So
I mean,
if that's
there's.
the case, then it's still all of your memories. It's still all of your stuff in here. It just happens to take a path that would normally be on hers. So yeah, if you want to access a memory, maybe you won't access the right memory, but you're accessing your own memories. When you want to move an arm, you might not move the exact same way, or solving a math problem might take a little bit longer, or might take a little bit shorter. But I think the brain would basically reconstruct you, but you'd still be yourself, and you wouldn't have
Mhm.
personal tendencies, because I don't think characteristics
Like that.
derive from some of the pathways.
What were you gonna say?
I wasn't saying that.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay. Well,
you could argue this a lot because
yeah, it's all theoretical. So
yeah,
none of
the
us
only
are-
downside is that we
This is
don't
real.
have a good enough understanding of the
So-
brain to understand how exactly it
I'm
works.
confused how you got there. You were saying you were comparing
Transporters.
what was coming first,
Transporters.
transporters or
And
anti-gravitational,
I was arguing that transporters were going to come first.
and then
But
you guys
And
just
I was
devolved
saying-
into
yeah, we
then,
did.
transportation.
then we started
and then what
talking
really
about
happens.
whether or not.
I want to talk about
whether-
the anti-gravitational pull.
I mean, I
I
don't.
want to talk about
If
it too,
we're
but I got
talking about
nothing it.
specifically anti-gravitational, that in itself is almost like there's not even anything theoretical regarding anti-gravitational.
Yeah,
Because
but
we
if
don't
it's-
even
if you-
understand
even if
gravity.
we-
If you
Yeah,
think
that's
hard
fine.
enough,
But we're getting close to it, though.
you
with
could
the Higgs
convince
boson.
Yeah.
yourself gravity doesn't exist, and therefore create a board in that mindset.
No, it's the idea that if you could, we can't. But if you could Good.
I'm so glad that he said we can't. This has been
I
a
never
momentous
said
step
we
forward.
could.
Yeah.
You guys, anyways, I want to get back to the original one because we still haven't heard what Kylie or Aaron would do if they were omnipotent
Oh, yeah.
for a day.
Oh,
All
Going back
powerful.
there.
powerful. The
Did you guys hear what I was going to do?
what would you do?
So you're only all powerful for a day,
He
so I
makes the
make
day
sure
last.
that
Oh,
day
dude,
never
lasts
ended.
forever. Okay.
Mom
So
would
we
need
can
to
take over
set
the world.
An awesome
'Cause he's
path
brain.
down life.
And then wipe his memory.
So that
And then
And
I would
cleanse
use
his
mine for
revenge.
irony.
I would just,
Ironic revenge.
I would just learn everything. I think that's
you use your
what I want right now.
omnipotence to become
Become
omniscient.
omniscient.
That's pretty good.
That's a pretty good one.
Omniscience.
Okay.
You can
And-
do that.
You assume
Give myself
like I give this
disposable
spot.
thumbs.
You said
Disposable thumbs.
No, disposable
thumbs.
Done with you.
Done with you.
2 new thumbs. What do you need 2 new thumbs for? Don't you wish you had some?
Like you could pull them off like lizard tails and then just go
You're like,
back.
that's it. Like cracking your knuckles, but you actually have a tendency to pull off your thumbs instead.
Just
like,
first thing that comes to your mind, Kylie.
Oh, everyone's like, oh my god, what
That'd be
happened
the
to your
best
thumb? Oh,
gag
sorry, they
trick
just grow back.
ever.
It's like,
oh man, there's just
it's
this
just like,
No,
Ah!
you're like, okay, let's pull off my thumb.
And all the kids are sitting there like,
Oh.
You're like, no, look,
No,
look.
seriously. Oh my god, what just happened?
What did you show my kid?
I
What?
just pulled my
Okay,
thumb.
my thumb.
Mommy, it was real. It was
I
real.
just pulled my
And then
thumb.
like watch me regrow it.
Cool.
Awesome.
Okay.
disposable
Okay.
thumbs.
I wanted to say like the first thing that popped into my head was just to say like an extra 3 inches again.
Oh man. All right, Kylie.
The first thing that came to my head when Daniel asked was
To give Daniel an extra 3.
considered saying that, but no.
Don't worry, there's a ton of
It'd be an
websites out
extra
there that for you,
5.
Daniel.
Oh, a bit extra 5.
So you'd be taller than me.
Oh, I see how it
It's what
is.
you want.
It is what I want.
Do you
I do
know
want
what
to
we
be
meant
taller.
when we
I-
said?
I was trying to bring it back.
I see. Well, we meant penis size. Just to let you know.
Way to just
Anyway.
throw it out there, Levi.
Anyway, what I was actually thinking was making superheroes are like real, and Daniel could be Iron Man.
Because they already
That way I
do
could be
rule.
Pepper Potts.
There we go.
But we'd
I'd
have
be
lots
Captain
of money,
America.
and that way we'd have money,
They're not
but
brothers. You'd have
superheroes
to
would be
be-
real, and life
you'd have
would
to
be
be-
boring.
Yeah.
Cap like Patriot.
I'd be one of those.
The Iron
Crushed
They're
by
not
children.
brothers, Aaron.
That's
I'd be
the
running.
closest thing you're gonna get.
You
No, Captain
Thor.
America is an
Captain
Or Mr.
adventure.
Fantastic.
I know, but I mean, you can
Oh,
argue
you
that
would
the
make
Iron
me a
Patriot's an
Superman,
Avenger too.
I would make it all
Later.
of us.
I
All of us
The only two
superhero.
people who are
I would
actually
totally
the
be Thor.
leaders of
And
the
other
Avengers
people.
are
I'd do
Captain
that or
America and Iron Man.
download me into Sword Art Online
Brothers.
and make a character.
Close enough.
One of those two.
Just superpowers.
I'm not
Okay,
black,
who-
Aaron.
Who do you think would be a closer brother to Tony Stark?
Batman.
No, not even close.
Very
But
good. I'm going with that.
Captain America or Iron Patriot? Like,
Iron Patriot.
Iron Patriot.
see, I told you, Alan.
Why?
You'd have to be Iron Patriot if he was.
Why?
If you were literally a brother. Oh, with those because he'd want to be
You guys
Captain
could be the
America.
Wonder Twins.
Yeah, you'd have to be Iron Patriot.
Aaron's Captain America.
Yeah.
Oh, you.
You bastard! Hey, it's okay.
I'm
Thor.
just kidding. I like Aaron.
Kicks
I
and
think
kicks.
I think Aaron would do better as Iron Patriot.
No,
to be
no.
honest. I think he would.
Aaron would do a very good Aquaman.
No, Aquaman's DC.
Or
dude.
Hulk.
I never said just Marvel.
Yeah.
I know, but we're doing the whole. He's Thor.
I am
I'm Iron
Thor.
Man.
I mean-
Captain America. We got
I know, I
kind of
look
an
it.
Avengers
And I'm
thing.
Aquaman, so suck it.
Boom!
I thought you were Pepper Potts.
Well, no, I meant like Pepper
No,
Potts
he's-
money and knowledge.
She'll be Pepper Potts with the
Well,
With
Iron Man
Aquaman as
3.
well.
No, with Iron Man 3
I'm,
powers.
if I'm smart and rich, I'd prefer to be Batman.
Batman sucks.
Blasphemy!
He does.
I will be sleeping
Comparatively
on the
to
couch
Iron
Yes,
tonight.
you will.
That's hilarious.
Comparatively to
He's
Iron
put
Man.
himself on the couch. I
Because
disagree with you, woman.
Because
I'm gonna be on the couch.
Considerate husband. I wouldn't. Well, imagine if I said, "You're on the couch tonight."
Yes.
All of a sudden, everyone thinks
I
I'm a
think
douchebag.
Iron Man has a better life than Batman.
Well, I read in Forbes
yeah.
that Iron Man is at least 10 times richer than
Mhm.
Batman, and he's not a whiny bitch.
Well, it's because Iron
Well,
Man
I just
actually
wanna
has
be
to
the
know a
greatest
He's just a
successful
detective
drunk
in the
douche.
world. I just want to be the greatest.
He's not the
detective
greatest
in the world.
detective in the
He
world.
is. That is.
Sherlock
his
Holmes
yeah.
is the greatest detective.
bullshit.
Oh, sir.
Oh!
Shots
Oh,
fired.
oh, Robert Downey
Really?
Jr.
Really, what kind of crimes though are Batman? is
Yeah,
Batman really
Batman's
solving?
trying to solve crimes of supervillains.
Like-
It's not like they're not announcing themselves.
Yeah.
Oh, look, there's a giant question mark. I wonder who did this.
They're not really detectives.
Oh.
They're just stopping a bad.
Okay.
Oh, look,
but
there's some penguins coming around. Who did this one? Oh, looks like there's two
You know what?
different types
You guys
of
can
people.
all shut up.
Oh.
It's like the safe was frozen crisp and
Crispy.
smashed. Who would have had the
They
arsenal
left
to pull
no
this off?
trace, except some people said there was some abnormal growth going on with the plants around.
Yeah,
It's
I
not
just
just
can't
that.
tell. who
You guys
it
all
is.
suck.
Someone left a riddle. Who could it be?
How am I going to get down to the bottom of this riddle?
Gordon? Gordon, come look at this.
Oh, look, there's some playing cards here. I just can't figure
It's a
this
deck
one
of cards.
out.
It's a deck of jokers?
Joker?
Okay,
Who's
enough.
Joker?
We're done with this. You guys can all suck
Normally
it.
you take these out of the decks.
Someone, yeah, just be like, someone just left their Joker playing cards on the floor.
There's so many of them.
Anyways.
too.
Apparently they must have been giving out some cards.
These must have been from the
Anyways.
casinos or something.
Moving
He's like,
on.
No, we're going with this.
Moving
Alright, what's
on.
another
I
superhero?
think-
Super
I
villain.
think the villain is Gambit.
I
What's
think
another
there's
supervillain,
some kitty litter around here. I just can't put my finger on who this would be, though.
Yes, we all understand how Sherlock Holmes would have all of those problems you were just talking about, guys.
Awesome.
I must unscramble this word. Woman cat. Let's see. What could this mean?
Talking about justice, just bringing it up. Have you guys ever noticed how we have laws in place to, you know, kind of cover really heinous things? You know, obviously, if you murder someone, that's bad. You should be punished by the law. And
Is it,
everything like
though?
that.
Depends
Yeah.
who.
Obviously,
Yes.
I say it depends who.
Unless it's for
Unless
money,
it's
right,
for
Aaron?
money, yeah. I was so mad because I saw her going for it, and I'm like, brain, go faster! Get to the conclusion faster!
If only you had swapped brains at that moment, you'd have gotten a better path.
But
Like,
have you noticed that recently?
I actually didn't hear what you guys said. What?
Only if
Unless
it's for money.
Unless it's for
You said
money.
murder's
Murder
not
is
okay
wrong.
unless it's for money.
Okay, there it was.
Going back to our
The
last.
path. The path made it. I'm slower.
Connections have been made. Anyways, yes.
I'm a sucker for a high five.
Anyways,
And stuff like
but
that.
have you noticed how
Everything.
there's no rules governing people being just douchebags? Like in the past, maybe 100 years ago, maybe 50 years ago, if you were a douchebag,
Probably not 50 years
Yeah, I
ago.
wouldn't put it 50 years ago if you're going where I
70
think you're
years
going.
ago, if you were a douchebag,
Or black.
if you were a douchebag,
We gotta take that out. We're losing half our audience.
I'm not saying it's how it should be. I'm just saying how it was.
okay, if you were a douchebag and someone beat the shit out of you, they just kind of chalked it up to you being a douchebag, and you just kind of asked for it. There wasn't any, like, you couldn't sue the person wouldn't get charges filed against them unless it got pretty bad, but, you know, you decked
Like,
someone.
beat them within an inch of their life.
Yeah,
Sure.
that's bad.
Knock them out
Knock
just
them out.
with, like, a solid punch.
Yeah, you're not, people are
You
like,
could duel
boys,
people back
boys
in the
will be
day.
boys, you know, you shouldn't have been a douchebag, you kind of asked for it. Nowadays, we live in a world ruled by douchebags because they're not breaking any laws, they're just being
Dicks.
douche dicks.
And then if you
If
retaliate,
you
you get sued.
retaliate, you get sued, you get assault charges, and you go to jail. And you're like, oh my god, this is so backwards.
I have a solution.
Okay.
Cyberbullying.
Yes.
We create websites where you get to put other people on if they are douchebag status.
I actually like that idea.
That is a good idea.
Douchebag.com.
I
And
think
you.
that's probably already a thing that we should.
Let's look it up.
I said
working,
should
dude.
not.
I'm pretty sure it'll bring up the wrong
might
thing.
come
Yeah.
up if we type in douchebag.com.
Oh yeah.
Or we could do
Yeah.
Levi's thing, douche stick.
Douche dick. No, someone said that. Said if you're being a douche or a dick, you should
Douche stick.
Douche dick.
You're being douche dicky today.
I was going to say we should look up beingadick.com,
A
but
fuster cluck.
yeah.
No, that's not.
That's not good either. Buster Cluck. Yeah. I don't know. It just seems to me really odd because, like, there are people in my life who I would probably beat the shit out of,
Mhm.
you know. But
Here,
If
here.
you weren't going to get sued.
but I know that they would sue me. I would get assault charges. It would end up worse for me. They wouldn't learn their lesson. In fact, they'd be all haughty-toddy, thinking, "Oh, I got away with it, and I can continue being a douchebag."
You know what I do?
Haughty-toddy.
You know what I
You
do?
gotta get them drunk and have them start the fight.
Yeah, but
No.
if you fight back, you can still get assault charges.
I slash people's tires.
Yeah, but that to me isn't satisfying.
Oh,
I mean,
trust me,
unless
if you actually
left
do
a
it.
note.
Oh,
Key
it's
their car,
satisfying.
just like put D-bag on there.
Douche. This is just turning into a country song.
Yeah, it really is. Slash their tires. and
Okay, no, we
keep
didn't
it.
have we got it from that.
Stop.
Yeah, what is that country song though like that?
No,
Like,
no, we're done.
I,
Here we go.
The cheating one? Is that
Yeah.
the one?
Maybe next
Isn't
time
it?
he'll think before he chooses.
Yeah.
No,
okay,
you're not
we're-
playing
don't
it.
play.
You're not playing it.
We're done.
We're
not
done.
on the
Why are you
podcast.
searching it still?
What?
What are you doing?
Why are you
You
searching
know
Stop
you're still
it.
searching.
I'm bringing
Stop.
up another Dorkly film.
Stop
Sure
it.
you are.
I can see you typing it on your computer.
You
on-
can't see.
I can see it.
It's Carrie Underwood, by the way.
Okay, well, don't.
Okay,
Well, we
Who
don't
cares?
need to know who it is.
Close it out.
It's just it's loading.
Close it out.
It's
Stop
loading.
it.
I'm saving.
well, I kind of, I was.
You can listen to it after the
Well,
podcast.
I can't. I don't remember how it goes.
Maybe
You don't-
next time he'll think.
No, that's
before
not the
he
part, like-
cheats.
Like, dug my heel into the side of his
Pretty little souped up
four-wheel
four-wheel drive.
There you go. Okay.
Carved my name into his leather seats.
Maybe next time he'll think.
No, it was like slashed a tire or
Took a,
something.
Took a Louisville
Took-
slugger.
Yeah.
Sluggers,
Both
Headlights and then slashed a tire on all four tires. Maybe next time.
Yeah.
Boom! We could have played it, and it still happened. And I was at first against it, and then your general.
Between the five of us, we were able to sing the chorus. We were-
The funniest part is I could not contribute in that in any way.
Well, like when
Could
I
not or
started
would
singing,
not.
I didn't even know what I was doing. Like, I was just like, maybe if I just start talking.
Hey, I
like,
couldn't
it'll
figure
come
out
up
that
to me.
first part,
Yeah.
and then you're saying "dug my heel," and I was like, "Oh yeah." Okay. Anyway.
Could we just point out how awful that song is? I mean, she carves her name into the seat. Like, the police aren't showing up the next day. Like, by the way,
I-
Carrie just happens to be carved
No.
into this
I always
chair. We
thought
don't
she
know
said
what it is.
legacy, like his car was his legacy, like
Into
wrote
his
my
legacy
name
car.
into his legacy.
No, because she's being arrogant about how popular she is. It's like, why would I write my own name on that? Someone obviously must like me.
There's a lot of Mariahs out there.
It's Carrie.
It's Carrie.
Carrie
I said I think it might be Mariah Carey, but it ended up being Carrie Underwood.
I mean, like, there's.
I wonder about how far
I mean,
off. Who is Mariah
That's
Carey?
that's who he was cheating on her with.
Yeah.
Yes.
It reminds me of some of the crazy, like, on the court shows.
The, like, Judge Judy and things
Yeah,
like,
like
that.
some of the craziest stuff that happens on that, and you're just like, holy shit.
Yeah.
How are you not in a mental institution
Yeah.
for doing that?
I've been there's the new episodes of The League, and I just can't understand how any rational person makes those kind of choices. They make
What's The
weird
League?
choices.
Yeah.
It's a show about like a fantasy football league, and
Oh, I've
just
never
all
heard
the
of it.
different
I have something.
hijinks. They,
You remind me of something I'm going to talk about when you're done.
oh,
When
go
you're done.
ahead. But it's just all the different hijinks they get into, and they're just like,
But it's
The
it's not
longest
a
thing
reality
ever.
show, is
no,
it?
it's not.
Okay.
It's like a comedy. Just
So, I was watching TV when I was at home one day, and there's this reality show going on right now. That's it's so these like 8 to 10 people got invited to this fantasy world, and so
Oh, Utopia?
no.
Okay.
Where so they're all people who like do LARPing or
Yeah.
or fantasy stuff, and it was this reality show where these 10 people were sent to this fantasy world, and they're basically enacting out like a fantasy journey in this reality show, which seemed pretty awesome, except for they all made stupid mistakes already, and I just
wanna
watched.
do that.
Because it was a
I watched
TV
half
show.
an hour
That's the
into it.
thing.
Yeah.
You guys need to watch
Wait, what do you
Unicorn
mean they
City.
made?
Ooh, I want to watch it. I think.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
pretty good.
No, the first thing, the first mistake they made was they trusted someone who just came out of the forest with a lantern. They trusted them outright. You know, why would you?
Well, what did they do? What did the
Did they
guy
roll
come
dice
out and
first?
say?
Tell me everything.
He just said it's you, and it's
where,
like
where was this? On Netflix?
no, it was on TV.
Oh,
no, like
so
so.
it's
I don't watch
I don't
it.
remember
I don't
what
watch
it's
it.
called.
Watch
No,
real TV?
I know.
I don't
It was
even
while
know
I was
what
at
that
home.
is
No, so
anymore.
like they all got these letters, and then they went to this underground cavern place, and they went on this boat, and
It's
then
dangerous to go
and then they got
Take this
stopped
away.
by these three
there.
like muses, three muses, and the muses are like, you've been selected for a journey, and then they exited the boat, and then they're walking in the forest, and all of a sudden some guy comes up with a lantern, and
What
he's
do they
like,
have for
it's
weapons?
you. They don't have anything yet, and I'm
Oh
like,
my God.
you guys are believing this guy outright?
Can they
I
like
mean,
physically
why?
attack him without weapons though?
They could if they wanted to, but they don't. So for one, no. The problem is that the guy was like, "It's you guys, come with me," and they all went with him without even questioning. They did not even question once. They're
They're
like,
like, "It
"Who
is
are
me."
you? Where are we going? What do you want? What are we here for? What?"
It's just, hey
It
guys,
was just
grab
like
the
game.
lantern,
Hey,
we
look,
should
it's a
go.
guy with a lantern.
No,
Let's
in
go.
a video
It's a
game, that's
video game.
exactly
Yeah.
what you
Yeah,
do.
but they're supposed to be enacting a real life journey.
in
If
Dun-
if they've
if you're
played
playing
enough
Dungeons and
video
Dragons,
games,
like-
they know you don't just go with the
Yeah,
person
you
who.
do.
comes.
It's the
No,
start of the
you
story.
question him.
No, you question. The smart people do. If you're in a video game, of course you do. But it's the video game. In real life, what if he led them
What?
down
If you're
to a
playing,
ditch
like,
and killed them?
If you're playing Dungeons and
It's
Dragons, you
reality
can
show.
do
I
whatever
I know
you
it's a
want.
reality
Dungeons
show.
and Dragons is
But
different
if
to
they
me
were
than a
smart,
video game.
Yeah.
A video game now,
Like,
we've talked about before,
if they
it's too
say-
linear.
If they say
Linear.
if they say
Linear.
okay, a guy approaches you with a lantern and says, "It's you, come with me." What do you do?
Fuck off.
Well, I mean,
That's what I
here's
do.
my thing. They
Like,
can go
come
with
with
him.
me
Roll
first.
dice.
I mean,
Roll
It's just
dice.
their
You fuck him.
unquestionable.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, here's my thing. They could go with him. Obviously, it's probably fine because it's a reality show. But if they all were spouting how they're the best, and that if they were in that kind of world, like
Well,
because
you
you have
know
the
they're
little
not the best if
interviews
they're
at the
already on
beginning.
the show.
They had these little interviews at the beginning. They're like, "We're the best," and if I was in a situation like that, I would have no problems. The fact that none of them thought to question the guy
Like,
makes
hey, dude
me.
with the lantern.
Hey,
where
dude
we
with the
going?
lantern, how did you know we were going to be here? Why are
Well,
you coming
no.
out in the middle of the forest?
My
What's
first
going
question,
on?
if he came out and just said it's you, my first question would be, who am I supposed to be?
Well, no, they did ask that, but then he told them this small
Maybe
little
they-
story, and they're like,
Maybe they
"Okay,
cut out
sounds
the
good."
questions.
Well, what was
I
the
would
story?
hope they
Something,
did.
it was
They're-
something with money.
No, it was something about they're the saviors of the kingdom,
Oh,
and they're
there you
here
go.
to. They're
Power.
here to.
Okay,
you
so
know.
so it doesn't sound like you're making it sound like he said it's you, follow me, and
They're like,
okay.
Pretty-
hell yeah.
Well, no, okay.
It sounds like they
So
asked
even-
him
No,
questions.
even no, he didn't. They didn't ask him. He's like, "You, the saviors of the kingdom. It's not safe here. Follow me." That's all he said, and they followed. They
Oh.
didn't ask
It's
anything.
not
They
safe.
didn't say.
That's
no,
the thing. When people
I'm
start
telling
saying
you.
words like it's
Not
safe,
safe. Yeah.
it's not safe.
That's the thing.
Okay, we're safe here. Bullshit.
That's
Get me
the
outta
problem.
here.
Is that the fact that they didn't question? They didn't know who he was. They didn't know where he was coming from. They don't even know what's going
Well,
on.
what did he end
Is
up
this
doing?
Bill
was-
from accounting?
He
was
led
that
them into a
movie.
trap of monsters. That was my problem. There's these monsters, and then he died because they didn't save him. It was
Whoa,
horrible.
whoa. Someone
Wait, so he led them to the trap?
And then he died.
And then
He died.
So it sounds like a win-win.
No, like he didn't
You
lead
got
it on
monsters,
purpose.
They get
He,
money from
he
the
didn't
monsters?
lead him on purpose. He walked him, and then all of a sudden this trap,
get
it's
XP.
spraying,
So-
and then they didn't save him.
So what you're saying is
Well, why
he's
would they? He let him
potentially
do that.
A good
not
guy.
evil.
just
Yeah.
So
No,
why
no,
did
he isn't evil. But the thing is, I'm not saying that they did that.
I'm confused now.
Okay, my problem is the way they went about it. It
Yeah.
ended up working well for them because it was a TV show.
Exactly.
But if they are spouting that
Yeah.
they're going to be the best,
And-
then why are they acting that
That's the
way?
thing. You should act like you never know when the person's going to die. So you got to pump him for information, as much information
Yeah,
as you can
because
get.
now they don't know
They
what's
probably
going
did
on.
ask
You-
him questions
you-
along the way, and they cut him out.
You need to be different about your approach. I was thinking he was evil, and he literally led them somewhere to
You
Kill
never
them all.
know, though.
off.
Maybe he did. You can't tell. He died. They
I-
weren't able to ask him if it was his
I know,
fault that they were
but
led
here's-
into the trap.
Here's the thing. It seemed reasonable
Maybe
enough.
the
There are games where something like that happens, and you think it's reasonable enough to follow them, and maybe something springs
But
up.
it's a game.
But the person
I'm
doesn't
talking-
die.
What I'm saying is,
Like-
it's
Well,
a game.
sometimes they do.
Wait, how hardcore
This
is
is
this
supposed to
TV
be-
show? Did he die?
Like,
That would be
this is
awesome.
supposed to be
I'd
real
watch
life,
that.
and they're supposed to be acting like this is real life. And the fact that they're making these decisions, that's what bugs me. Is that I know if I was in that situation, I'd be like, "You with the lantern? How'd you know we were gonna be here?"
I would
And
ask for
where
the
are we
lantern.
going?
Like, can
TV
I hold the
producers.
lantern?
Over
Yeah.
there.
Because
Yeah.
if you would let me hold the lantern, because I'm the savior, that
Yeah.
shows trust.
Yeah. See, Aaron's smart.
See,
Aaron's got this.
See, if we were on this show, Aaron would be the guy that annoyed the shit out of me, but I'd never let him know that because he'd be right most of the time.
You're like, I,
Be like,
I don't know the shit out of you, but you're like, I'm following this
I'm
guy till
following
the end of the
this
game.
You'd be
Yeah.
like, guys, why are we going to save him?
On screen, you'd be like, yeah, let's listen to this guy, and then it'd be
And then
like
on
the
that-
interviews.
I hate him.
I hate him, but he's gonna
It's
get
so
it in the
annoying.
end.
He's gonna get.
I'm gonna stab him in the back at the end.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure a guy's gonna stab me back in the end.
I keep looking at him, and every time he just gives me this glare.
See, I would love to be in a show like
Here's another
that.
big
I would
difference.
love
Here's another
to.
big difference. If it was like, say, the five of us doing something, it'd be a lot different because we've worked together and we bounce ideas off of us, and we each have different personalities that kind of get. So that guy shows up, and I might be like, "Oh, okay, that sounds reasonable," but then maybe you are like, "Well, maybe we should find some
Let's
more
ask him some
information
questions.
about him."
And I'd already be
And
walking down the
Aaron-
path. I'd be like,
I'd be
dude,
like-
where are you? Come on!
And Aaron would be like, "Well, you should probably give us that lantern if we're the saviors." And you're like, "Okay, so why are we doing this?" And Kylie would be like, "Daniel,
I
stop
found
being
some
so
mushrooms.
stupid."
That's sad. That's kind of weird. I was expecting Aaron to be more like, I'm going to the kitchen.
She can't cook the mushrooms. Cook in the kitchen without mushrooms.
This,
Oh.
See, but here's
every
the-
time,
here's
guys,
the
we
difference.
lose more women
Here's the
listeners.
difference. Here's the difference. You have to ask yourself something. Like, it's easy for us to say what we would do in that
what we would
situation,
have.
but we wouldn't know unless we were in a situation like
But the
that.
I was
It's a
watching
TV
it the
show.
moment I saw the guy with the lantern. I was thinking to myself,
Yeah.
what is he doing?
What-
Why is he
What
here?
if they,
I
like,
want to ask him
What if
questions.
they like sleep deprive the people before they like
Yes.
start?
How long were they really out there before the guy showed up?
And
What
here's the best
really
part.
happened?
I don't
What-
care.
What
How
scripts
do you know
were they
it wasn't
given?
scripted?
Yeah.
Exactly. It's
No,
like,
I'm
all right,
positive
guys,
it was scripted.
let's film this
I'm
next
just
one.
saying that there's lots of flaws.
But that premise
That's
sounds
my problem.
awesome. I
The
like
premise
that.
was
Yeah.
awesome, but it was
See,
flawed.
The
Taking
flaw of
people
it
and just
is that it was televised. If this
Yeah.
is something that can happen and it's not necessarily televised, it would be awesome.
Oh, it would be.
It's like the new park that they're making. Have you
What?
guys heard about it? Evermore?
I've
Oh
heard
my god, how have
somewhat
you guys
about
not
it.
heard of this?
Remind
I
me
don't
what it
know how
is.
to
Chime in.
I'm not
Okay,
good at
so-
pop culture.
Thank you.
They're making
Fast
they're
book?
making like a steampunk park
Where?
over here in I don't
Over
remember
here?
here in Utah. They're making
Oh,
a steampunk park here in Utah. I don't remember where it is.
What's their
But
idea of
it's supposed
steampunk?
to it's supposed to open in 2015.
Yeah, I don't know what steampunk
Okay.
actually stands for.
Neo-Victorian.
Idea.
That
Idea.
makes even
Stop.
less sense to
I'm
me.
explaining still.
After she's done,
Steampunk still had the word steam and punk, but neo-Victorian is even older of
Okay,
a
so
word in my
think
brain.
Victorian. outfits.
What's a
And
good
then think,
show
like,
that would be a
Rusted
good one
Metal
to
and, like,
mention?
Steam.
League of
Oh,
Extraordinary
I got
Gentlemen.
you.
League of Extraordinary
Extraordinary
Gentlemen. Great one.
Do you remember that?
Okay, so anyways, what's happening here?
All right.
Okay, so they're making this amusement park, but there's not really like rides. You pay for an experience. You go in and you have to go to designated places. It's kind of like your own adventure book.
Ooh,
And so you've got a
love it.
pamphlet, and it's like, this is the journey you want to go on. Start here. And you go to that building and you talk to a certain person. And then they give you a clue and you go to the next place and you talk to another person. And you have to keep going. And you just go through the park like that. And you can show up in costume.
Do you
and
get to?
it's
Is there like
interactive.
is there
and
like
it's different,
obstacle
all the time.
courses and is there like
I
do you
mean,
get
don't
like
go
an
that
explainer
It's for
Can you
the
touch
American
the
populace,
actors?
so as little
That's
as little
just-
movement as possible.
You could probably not
Okay.
touch the actors, but if you could, that's we always say we need to finally do it. We need to get it.
No,
We need
I
to get
want
to
to
Well,
do
it's because
this.
we don't have
do
time,
No,
we
I
have
mean
jobs.
Dungeons
Dungeons
and
and
Dragons.
Oh,
We're doing all the other stuff. I'm just saying.
Dungeons
We do
and
need-
Dragons.
Well,
'Cause
who's going to be the dungeon master? Alan? Do you
I
have
don't know.
experience being a dungeon master? Okay,
He's
well,
like-
Very little, but I have
then
some.
you need to talk with Alan and get it set up.
Okay, I'll do it. What adventure do you want to do? You choose the adventure. And I'll...
A guy comes out of the forest with a lantern.
We'll start
That's
there.
the premise.
Okay.
I had a splinter underneath my fingernail.
That is so
Sad
sad.
day.
It was.
That's
All right, well,
It was
we will
painful.
catch you guys on the
That
flippity
painful.
flip.
No,
Wait,
this
was
was
this-
the where?
I took
No,
panic.
this was
Oh, Panda.
And when I
No,
did,
Oh no!
This was
Holy
the-
shit!
finally, like, just started bleeding.
Okay, and now while your ears are bleeding from our home list, this was the
Where?
Panda,
Podcast
Featuring.
Daniel.
Alan.
and Eric and.
Why would you do that? And Kylie.
There we
Thank
go.
you for listening.
All right.
and
Parting
And
notes, Splinter Shirt.
Aaron.